Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. And you can join us in the Freedom Zone. Just click down in the description box and join us either in Patreon or YouTube. And for those of you in Patreon, just please understand and know that Patreon is experiencing some issues with our account, and we will get that worked out momentarily. And until we do, just hang in there and thank you for your patience. It will be corrected, and I'm sure you will get all the content that I've been uploading. So if you're experiencing any issues of getting that video, the extra content and those things, please know that is going to be resolved in short order. So hang in there and appreciate your patience. $3.47 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 1.4%. 103,000 plus for Bitcoin. 2,500 plus for Ethereum. XRP at the number 4 spot is $2.46. Now, we're up 3% on the 24, but we're up 14% on the 7-day. Ethereum is up 40+% on the 7-day. So we're going to watch it. The market is starting to heat up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the range of price here, ranging between 234 and 248, which is where we are now. I am loving what we're seeing right here. Remember, this could be the month that we see stablecoin legislation passed in the United States of America. And this market action, because it's broad across the whole crypto space, not just specific to XRP, could be a signal to that rush of money coming into the market in anticipation of that legislation passing. Now, I do want to let you guys know very quickly here, this is why I do not self-custody my digital assets. Everyone should have the right to self-custody, but you should be aware of the risk. 3 teenagers have been accused of kidnapping a man at gunpoint after he was returning from a crypto event in Las Vegas before driving him an hour outside of the city and robbing him of $4 million in crypto and non-fungible tokens. You know, this is out of the Florida news here. So listen, what I will say is that everyone has the right to self-custody. As a public figure, I decided ages ago to not do self-custody for that reason, because I have a public image and a public figure to a degree. So, you know, for me, it just makes more sense. Plus, to be perfectly honest with you, and I want everyone else to have the choice. If you want it, I want you to have it. All I'm saying is that I don't want to hold my Tesla and Apple stock, and I don't want to have to hold my own crypto. I want that traditional solution that is insured and protected and takes this particular point of trouble out of your life, because that's the way to do it. And one of the best ways to do that is to open up your free account at Caleb & Brown. Digital asset investor and myself have come together with Caleb & Brown to get you a place where you can get the best customer service when it comes to crypto. No hidden fees, no spreads. Open your free account today, xrpwealth589.com. Institutional grade custody for retail folks, no charge. And guess what else? Human customer service. That's right. And guess what else? I can't get into my account if I am just calling or talking or whatever, because I don't want someone to try to do what happened to that person I just showed you the article. No. My restriction on my account that I've personally put in place to add to the multiple layers of security that are already provided by Caleb & Brown, I'm going to be there in person if I want to do any kind of withdrawal from my account. There we go. That's how you make sure you're completely safe. You don't have to do that. That's pretty extreme, but that's what makes me comfortable. So you have a wide array of options, and they have multiple layers to their security on this platform, and human customer service. You just can't beat it. And we all know the exchanges freeze up, so you could put your market orders in place and be covered either way. And the countdown to XRP Las Vegas is on, ladies and gentlemen. 17 days. Here's Bree Teresi, model, golf influencer, crypto enthusiast. Let her tell you what's coming on, and get your ticket before they're gone. VIP probably sells out, I would think, within the next several days.
Hey everyone, this is a friendly reminder to go ahead and purchase your XRP Vegas tickets because the event is coming up on May 30th and 31st. We're going to have Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse and David Swartz there speaking, as well as the CEO of Uphold, of iTrustCapital, and Caleb and Brown, and so many other people in the digital asset space. It's going to be an awesome way to be able to learn so much during these panels, ask questions and connect with other people from the community. If you are new to this space, this is the perfect opportunity for you. Go ahead and purchase tickets down below. I can't wait to see you in Vegas. Hey everyone,
There you have
this
it
is a
right
friendly
there.
reminder
Let me
to
get
go
this
ahead
stopped.
and purchase your XRP Vegas ticket.
Trying to get it stopped there. Thank you to Bree Teresi, and you can meet her and all the other people mentioned at the conference. Right now, we know this. President Trump says the U.S. negotiated a total reset with China during trade talks over the weekend. And we also understand that that is the geopolitical stage being set right there. Now, we also, and I'll just highlight the recent news of this morning, they basically have a 90-day stay where they're going to adjust the rates of tariffs, bring them way down for the US and China, and I think continue to talk long term. So there is a lot of headway happening here. Now let's move into crypto, where we hear a lot of talk about the US government creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve. I am going to break down in the next video very heavily a conversation that I've been having for years on this channel about how XRP gets price set. And this time, I think you're going to want to hear the way I'm going to break it down. And I'm going to use someone who's quite qualified to speak on the matter to show it to you. But until then, let's talk about this. Coinbase is abandoning Bitcoin accumulation, calling it too risky, says Brian Armstrong. Shudder the words. Did you ever think you'd hear him say it? Basically says that they chose not to buy large amounts of Bitcoin for its reserve. Over the years, exchanges repeatedly considered the idea of adopting Bitcoin-focused treasury strategy, like MicroStrategy, obviously, right? Similar to that of MicroStrategy, however, the company ultimately decided against it in order to mitigate risk that could have jeopardized its liquidity and operations, Armstrong stated. The CEO revealed that the idea of allocating up to 80% of Coinbase's balance sheet to Bitcoin had been considered numerous times over the past 12 years. Nonetheless, Coinbase prioritizes neutrality and financial stability over heavy Bitcoin investments. Using such a substantial portion of our balance sheet for Bitcoin could have limited our ability to support future operations. We made a conscious choice about risk. So, look, I'm not trying to throw shade on Bitcoin. I just think that this is a responsible measure. Listen, it was a week or two ago, we showed the clip of Kevin O'Leary saying that, MicroStrategy's model of buying Bitcoin, selling shares, and buying Bitcoin and selling shares, it's long term, it feels like a disaster in the making, right? And, I'm not trying to throw shade, but I mean, to put all your eggs in one basket is just a bad idea. And Brian Armstrong, we know, is a huge Bitcoin maxi. And for him to say it out publicly is very, very big. But here we know we got a big day coming here. The SEC Crypto Task Force Roundtable will discuss tokenization at 1 p.m. today, Eastern Time, with panelists from BlackRock, Fidelity, NASDAQ, and so many more. This is with the new chair at the SEC, Paul Atkins. I can't wait to learn more. Remember, it's about a month away now. This is how quick everything is moving. Remember, about June 16th, we should be getting on or around that time frame. We should be getting that 60-day report write-up from Judge Annalisa Torres on the SEC versus Ripple case as well. So stay for that. And that's over, but we have some procedural things that need to complete for it to be completely finalized, right? And then let's turn our direction to this because, as we move towards clarity and the possibility of getting stablecoin legislation this month before May 26, which will be Memorial Day, and this is according to congressional representatives on Capitol Hill, right? Tether Incorporated will have to go under U.S. jurisdiction no matter its current country of registration. The proposed U.S. crypto legislation for stablecoins would now regulate even entities offshore registrations. And this is a change because before, Tether would have been shut out of the US for 2 years because foreign issuers would be pushed out for at least a period of 2 years. That is language that is now being changed. And I guess this may be the Democrats fighting for that change in language here. But what I find interesting about all of this is that it says, and let me just find this right here. 1 second here, right through this article here. But Tether is now one of the key players in the crypto space and has been for a long time. But they also are working, the token issuer Tether is added plans to launch a U.S. domiciled stablecoin. Additionally, Tether remains one of the largest scale buyers and holders of U.S. debt. So that's what gets it in the conversation, right? And we know it has the equivalent of like German government and this, that, and the other. It's holding a lot of treasury bills. However, remember, should Tether get squashed like a bug, just like Lehman Brothers was squashed, what happened? Someone comes in and buys up all the remains. So if that were to happen, and I don't think that it is at this point, if that were to happen, then, we would see the Circles and the real USDs and the Paxoses and the PayPals and whoever else is going to launch a stablecoin simply buy up those bonds. That's what I believe what would happen. But nonetheless, Tether is looking to change its tune and get in compliance and launch a U.S. domiciled stablecoin if Tether, which tells me Tether realizes the Tether token, right, the USDT, doesn't make for a good token digital dollar inside the United States. And it sounds like it's easier for them to launch a U.S. domiciled stablecoin in the compliant way that it should be, because it's an acknowledgement to even suggest it from Tether. It's an acknowledgement that they're not in compliance, that they don't meet U.S. Compliance. I mean, it's quite obvious from the article, right? And they want to be. And there was a time when he said he didn't want to be. But you know what? He's changing his tune now. So we'll see where all of this goes in this legislation. I say anyone issuing a dollar, paper or digital, should be regulated by the U.S. government. There's no question about it. Otherwise, it's counterfeit and illegal to do it. At least that's how it used to be. Banking powerhouse Citi sees stablecoins finding multiple use cases in the mainstream financial system over the next 5 years. And I say, oh, yes, indeedy, I agree. And remember, Citibank reveals its new Citi integrated digital asset platform, and they're using Ripple Custody Medico. Remember that? Remember when Citi, Swift, and Ripple all did a podcast and said that they were all working together to build new rails for the future? Yeah, I remember that too. How about the old conversation about Tether wanting to be in compliance in the United States? Well, here's a fun fact for you, okay? Ripple's Real USD stablecoin received final approval from the NYDFS December 24, allowing it to operate as a regulated stablecoin in New York under limited purpose trust company charter. This approval confirms Real USD compliance with stringent regulatory standards, including AML, KYC protocols, and regular reserve audits. Now, does Tether have the same NYDFS green light approval license that Real USD does? No. There's no clear evidence in the provided information on recent public records confirming that Tether has received a similar NYDFS approval or license like the Real USD. Tether has faced regulatory scrutiny in New York, notably the 2021 settlement with the NYDFS, where it paid $18.5 million fine for misrepresenting its reserve backing and was required to submit periodic transparency reports. However, this settlement did not grant Tether a BIT license or a limited purpose trust company charter, which are typically required for virtual currency businesses to operate fully regulated in New York. So, this is really remarkable that the Real USD sits in a position right now where it is more compliant and it has more approval inside the United States than Tether does. And it is at this point, I remind everybody here, look how close XRP's market cap at 143 billion plus and Tether at 149. And we've passed it and flipped it before, and we're close to flipping it again. I'm just showing you this because And I know we're talking about real USD versus Tether, but the fact of the matter is you need to think about what real USD having more compliance and more transparency and more approval and licensure to operate in more areas than Tether does, like New York, where Wall Street is. Imagine what the flow of real USD can do to the market cap of XRP once we get going. Remember, we could have legislation this month. In another 2 weeks or less, we could have it. And then the 3 billion users from the Magnificent Seven will be coming in and launching crypto wallets for all the 3 billion people, which is just under half the population of the world. Yeah. And then we got Charles Hoskinson talking about integrating Cardano with XRP and Bitcoin will quadruple its total value locked up. Take a listen.
When we look in the next 5 years, our big area of growth is likely going to come from XRP and from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because we can do things for them, and that's a win-win. And when you add that together, that TVL is going to be 4 times larger than Ethereum and Solana combined.
There you go. That just the TVL, just the total value locked up, will be larger than than Ethereum and Solana combined. Okay, all right. And while all of that's happening, remember, it is being positioned that XRP has the privileged position on the XRP ledger, which means because the real USD is poised to have more approval and use throughout the United States and the world than Tether actually does. That is going to open up the door for XRP's privileged position to have an opportunity to make a market. Take a listen.
But our first question is around, really what's going to be driving value to XRP, particularly kind of around the cross-border and sort of more like enterprise payments and financial use cases.
Yeah, so you guys can all see the question on the screen. I think the big thing that's gonna keep XRP like in its central role is its privileged place on the XRP ledger. XRP is the only token that you can pay transaction fees in. It's the only token that every account can receive. The payment engine entering pathfinding always looks for XRP liquidity first, and XRP is auto-bridged through the order book, so XRP liquidity is sort of preferentially taken over to other types of liquidity just from order crossing. So XRP is always going to have a special place as a sort of liquidity tool on the XRP ledger.
There you have it. And that's right from David Schwartz. Come on in. Yeah, David's going to be on stage at XRP Las Vegas, and he was incredible last year. I can't even wait for what he's going to discuss on stage with Vet. And if y'all don't know Vet, I don't know where you're at. On social media. This guy's amazing. Look right here. This is another amazing human being. It's Crypto Insights UK. Shout out to Will. He says, XRP feels like it's ready to continue to the upside. He says, we've been holding previous range highs as a support for 25 weeks now-ish. He says, stochastic RSI is turning up out of the oversold area, indicating momentum is coming back to the bulls. You can see down in this area here, everything's turning. Let it turn, I say. Let it turn. Okay, so when we're looking at this, he says here, however, alt's performing well. I think there's enough momentum to take us over the line. We get the weekly bullish cross and a bit of momentum. Then XRP will rip similar to the November, December candles, but realistically, probably more aggressive. You've been warned. Whoa! Loving the optimism coming out of Will this morning here. And here's Chart Nerd throws this out. His optimism is high. Yeah, he's got a big circle here. And he says, I just want y'all to know basically that XRP met both the 1.272 and the 1.618 Fibonacci levels in the prior cycle. So this is where the new cycle would be should it reach, which would put it at 840 and 27 bucks. That aligns a lot with what we've seen with Egg Red Crypto, Dark Defender, Crypto Bull, 2020, and so many others out here. And wow, I mean, to imagine these things actually unfolding. And listen, I believe XRP goes to 4 and 5 digits over time. I've always believed that. And I'm going to explain exactly how it does it. And it does it with a set price. in the next video. Oh, yes, I am. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. We're going into the freedom zone, so I hope you will join us. Click the join button underneath the video and come on in.